Good afternoon. Today MBA second year semester third marketing group मधला सर्व्हिस मार्केटिंग हा सब्जेक्ट आपण स्टडी करणार आहोत. तर सर्व्हिस मार्केटिंग मध्ये फर्स्ट युनिट आहे त्या ठिकाणी इंट्रोडक्शन टू सर्व्हिस मार्केटिंग. त्याच्यानंतर सर्व्हिस मार्केटिंग सेकंड युनिट आहे सर्व्हिस मार्केटिंग एन्व्हायरमेंट. थर्ड अंडरस्टँड सर्व्हिस कस्टमर बिहेवियर. फोर्थ मार्केटिंग मिक्स फॉर सर्व्हिस. तर आपण प्रत्येक युनिट वाईज त्या ठिकाणी काय काय आपल्याला स्टडी करायचं ते पाहू. फर्स्ट युनिट जे आहे सर्व्हिस मार्केटिंग, याच्यामध्ये आपल्याला सर्व्हिस मार्केटिंगची कन्सेप्ट जी आहे ती पाहायची. सर्व्हिस आणि मार्केटिंग याच्यात कसं केलं जातं ते आपण याच्यामध्ये अभ्यासणार. तर पहिलं सर्व्हिस मार्केटिंग मीन्स, त्याच्यानंतर सर्व्हिस मार्केटिंगच्या ज्या डेफिनेशन आहे ते आपण त्या फर्स्ट चॅप्टर युनिट मध्ये स्टडी करणार. तर टोटल आपल्याला याच्यामध्ये 11, 12, 13, 14 युनिट आहे त्या ठिकाणी. तर फर्स्ट आपण जो आहे इंट्रोडक्शन टू सर्व्हिस मार्केटिंग. तर याच्यामध्ये आपण सर्व्हिस मार्केटिंगचे कन्सेप्ट आणि डेफिनेशन पाहिल्यानंतर सर्व्हिस मार्केटिंगची ऑब्जेक्टिव्ह काय. तर फर्स्ट सर्व्हिसिंग मार्केटिंग म्हणजे काय, तर मोस्ट ऑफ द इकॉनॉमिक्स अराउंड द वर्ल्ड हॅव सिग्निफिकंट मूव टुवर्ड्स बिगिंग सर्व्हिस कम इकॉनॉमी. Service are present all around us and we are being offered and are consuming service at a rate faster than ever before. Though a diverse gamut of service have become a dominant feature in almost all major development and developing economies. In this chapter, men aims to provide an introductions to the concept of service and the basic underpinning of service marketing. It goes on to briefly outline evolutions of the concept service marketing and the difficulties in differentiating goods and service. The unit further discussions different compound of service experience and its conjunctions. In this unit ends with a brief discussion on the need of studying service as a separate field of knowledge. The first सर्व्हिसिंगचे फर्स्ट ऑब्जेक्टिव्ह आहेत द बेसिक कन्सेप्ट ऑफ सर्व्हिसिंग. नेक्स्ट आयडेंटिफाय द बेसिक डिफरन्स बिटवीन गुड्स अँड सर्व्हिसेस. दोन गोष्टी त्या ठिकाणी केल्या जातात, प्रोव्हाइड केल्या जातात, एक तर गुड्स अँड सर्व्हिसेस. तर अंडरस्टँड कॅरेक्टरिस्टिक्स ऑफ सर्व्हिस. सर्व्हिसेस म्हणजे काय, त्याचे कॅरेक्टरिस्टिक्स काय हे आपण आधी याच्यामध्ये पाहणार. त्याच्यानंतर अंडरस्टँड हाऊ सर्व्हिस कॅन बी यूज ॲज अ कंपॅरेटिव्ह ॲडव्हान्टेज for both intangible and tangible products. Identify the various factors that influence and create service experience and importance of mining overall service experience and understand the need to service marketing. हे मेन ऑब्जेक्टिव्ह. त्याच्यानंतर डिफाइनिंग सर्व्हिस डेफिनेशन आपण ह्याच्यात पाहणार. सर्व्हिस मीन्स काय, तर याच्यामध्ये कुठल्याही याचं प्रॉडक्ट होत नाही, तर याच्यामध्ये काय आहे, लोकांना त्याची सेवा दिली जाते. तर याच्यामध्ये लोकांना सर्व्हिसेस प्रोव्हाइड केली जाते. As a discuss in the introductory sections of the unit, owing to its diverse natures and multitude of factors, comparison in defined service has a very difficult task. It has been pointed out by many authors and particulars of marketing that are linear decisions. Between goods and services is not always event. However, with recent developments, in the area, and with the growing one of the earliest definitions of the service was provided by the American Marketing Association, which defines service as activities, benefits, or satisfactions which are offered for sale or provided in connections with the sale of goods. However, in the inherent limitations of these definitions is that it has taken a very narrow prescriptive on service linking service only with the sales of goods. And in his work, The Service Regulations, published in 1963 in Journals of Marketing, posed that service represents either enable building satisfaction directly, transportations, housing, uh, insurance. This is a services. Or intangible yield in satisfaction jointly with purchasing either with the commodities or other service, great delivery. It was probably the first instance where services were defined in terms of intangible which were capable of providing satisfaction to the customers and can be marked like goods. Robert Juice is service means. Uh, this definition is published 1964 in Journal of Marketing. Uh, Robert's opinions, market transactions and enterprise or entrepreneur where the object of the market transactions is other than the transfer of ownership of a triangle commodity. हे काय म्हणतात रॉबर्ट जोड जो आहे तो काय म्हणतो की मार्केट मीन्स ट्रान्झॅक्शन्स बाय अन एंटरप्राइज or entrepreneur where the object of the market transactions is other than the transfer of ownership of a tangible commodity. Next definition त्या ठिकाणी सांगितली कोल्टर अँड बोमने 1984 मध्ये services means any activity or benefit that one party can offer to another that is instantly intelligible and does not result in the ownership of anything. Its production may or may not be tied to a physical products. This intangible nature of service was also highlighting by the definitions while defining service as something which can be bought and sold, but which you cannot drop on your food. All of these definitions indicate the basis characteristics of the service that they can be exchanged even though they are not triangular. It should, however, be noted that it is a very difficult, if not impossible, to identify pure service based on the criteria of intangibility. Similar, it is also very difficult to find goods, products, which can be defined purely on the criteria of tangibility. And a poor good would simply mean that all the benefits received by the consumer were based in the tangibility of the good. It contains no intangible compound. Similar, a pure service would contain not tangible elements. Next, one of the most popular expert in the areas of service management, Kronos provide of comprehensive definitions of service as uh, uh, Kronos that म्हणतो की an activity or service of activities of a more or less intangible nature that normally not necessarily take place in interactions between the customer and service employees and or physical resource of goods or system of the service provided, which are provided as solution to customer problems. This definition indicates following as silent feature which leads to a better understanding of service. First is service are activities or they are series of activities rather than okay. Definition indicate याच्यामध्ये जे सायलेंट फीचर्स जे आहेत ते आपण पाहतो. तर फर्स्ट आहे त्या ठिकाणी सर्व्हिस कशी त्या ठिकाणी activities or the series of activities rather than being physical things. Second is as a result of being non-physical tangible. Service कशी त्या ठिकाणी non-physically and intangible आहे त्या ठिकाणी. त्याच्यानंतर थर्ड आहे त्या ठिकाणी सर्व्हिस features that take place in the interactions between the customer and the service provider, which mean that service are product and consume simulation and for customer play an important role in the production process of the service. In reality, both goods and service contain elements of tangibility and intangibility to a certain extent. An intangible service, such as insurance, will be perceived as incompletely in absence of a tangibility of policy documents, whereas most tangible goods include some sort of service, such as warranty and other after-sales support provided to the customers. This difference is more obvious in case of organizations and products where benefits from both sides of the intangibility things are considered important by consumer. For example, consumer interested in buying automobiles, the tangible warranty and maintenance service available for the automobile is as important as the tangible automobile itself. Despite the confuse and for the basis purpose of understand the difference between goods and service, goods may be defined in terms of objective device or things, whereas service can be defined deeds, efforts, or performs in modern marketing terminology. The word product is used when both service and marketing are to be referred to when the primary benefits is derived from the tangible compounds of a market offering. It is referred to as a good. Goods means काय? आपण त्या ठिकाणी तीन कन्सेप्ट पाहणार आहे, प्रोडक्ट्स, गुड्स अँड सर्व्हिस. गुड्स त्या ठिकाणी काय असतं, प्रोडक्ट घेतलं जातं आणि सर्व्हिसेस प्रोव्हाइड केल्या जातात. प्रोडक्ट्स मीन्स काय, तर यूज फॉर बोथ सर्व्हिस, प्रोडक्ट services and marketing are referred to be referred. Primary benefits is derived from tangibility compounds of market offering is referred as a good, and services means the source of the primary benefit is intangible in nature. It is a term of as a services. Next point आहे characteristics of services. Services, many characteristics of service. First is perishability, intangibility, variability, inseparability, and in lack of ownership. Services 5 characteristics आहे. The presence of these characteristics link and diminutions to the service, creating some rather unique challenge for business organizations in mining service. A brief discussions on these 5 silent characteristics of service is as follows. First is intangibility. Intangibility means perhaps the most mystery and event characteristics of service. It is beginning intangibility. Intangibility refers to the probability of being unable to the experience in terms of physical events. In simple words, it means beginning unable to be registration by sense, meaning it cannot be touched, smelling, seen, felt, or touched. Services are not a dominant part, intangible. For example, it is possible to register the physical events of insurance service. One is unable to touch, see, or smell such a service before purchasing. It is often very difficult for the customer to understand the nature of service and its performance unless they have actually experienced it. This creates some difficult challenge in front of marketers as services cannot be sampling like before purchases are made. However, in practice, it is a very difficult to find pure service which are purely intangible. Almost all service are accompanied by some physical tangible compounds that can signify and symbolize their delivery. Service organization usually on this physical events to symbolize delivery of services, education and training. For example, services, so example that I can say in tangibility. First are sort of services which are primarily intangible in nature, as their delivery can only be administered by increasing in learning, skill or behavior. However, the grade sheet and the certificate of completions of a particular education program may service as an events of delivery of service. At times, it become challenging for service organizations to manage this inherent focus on intangibility of service. Inseparability, second characteristics services. In separately carriage means another keys discussion feature of service in that the service beginning delivered at inseparable from the service provided. For example, a hairstyle needs to be a personally present for styling hair of their client. Similar, one need to be physically present in a hotel to experience their boarding and lodging services and cannot take a hotel room to be to one's home. In short, service cannot be separately from their service provided. In these characteristics, services also highlights facts that the services are to be consumed as and when they are provided. Normally, customer and service provider has to be present simultaneously for service productions and delivery to take place. To the quality of the service delivery depends on the interactions between service provider and customer. दोन याच्यामध्ये त्या ठिकाणी इन्सेक्युरिटी होतं, याच्यामध्ये कस्टमर असेल आणि सेकंड आहे त्या ठिकाणी सर्व्हिस प्रोव्हाइड. एक सेलर असतो आणि एक बायर असतो. नेक्स्ट हे आहे व्हेरिएबिलिटी. Third characteristics of services variability. It is important for business organizations to be considered in delivering value to their customers with the advent of social media and increasingly savvy customers. Some standardizations of market offering has become must for all organizations. A situations where customers perceive that they are beginning to, as some of them have been delivering lesser value as compared to other customers of the same product may fail to follow the business. In many cases, may not be that of the business are increasing paying attentions to understandations of their product in order to ensure consistency in quality, feature, packaging, and so on. Most goods are made to certain set understand and are using understand machine creating such consulting is relativity and either eraser tax. In contrast, achieving such contrasty in service quality of a challenging task. One of the primary reasons, as discussed early, inseparability of service from the service provider. As service are bound to have some human elements in their delivery, reproductions of same levels of service at all instances is very difficult. Okay. नेक्स्ट आहे त्या ठिकाणी फोर्थ कॅरेक्टरिस्टिक्स आहे प्रेहेसिबिलिटी. Prescriptivity means perhaps the most difficult to understand the appreciations, perhaps refer to the probability of inability of beginning store or shop. To understand this probability of service, it is necessary to appreciate that the fact that there cannot be a time lag between creations of service and its consumptions. The characteristics of perishability create or rather particular problems in mining the demand and supply of the services. The ability to meet the peak demand of services may become limited and stressed in the installed capacity to its maximum, maybe on the cost of reduced service levels. Whereas in non-peak time, the capacity may lie ideal and thus underutilized and non-productivity. Such pressure on service organization due to perhaps link to service calls for rather unique and creative planning for capacity utilizations and planning. Next characteristics are non-ownership. Last characteristics of services. Non-ownership means the final feature of the service that unlike a physical product, the customer does not secure ownership of the services. The customer are only users of the services and the equipment used to deliver the services remain in the provisions of the service provider. For example, a guest checking in a hotel room simply use the boarding and lodging service and hospitality of the hotel and does not assume the ownership of the room. Second, this ownership creates some unique risks for the customers too. For instance, as nothing is physical on the perceived conscience of a service purchase remain uncertain. Further, as the customer has owner nothing, there is no possibility of returning the service. Such situation create challenge that are particular for service marketers and are the to most extent absent with goods marketing. Next point आहे त्या ठिकाणी sales of marketing intelligence. The difference between goods and services can be explained from a very interesting perspective as provided by the scale of market in times presented in the future. Figure 1.1 column. So in this figure 1.1, the scale of market intelligence. The first is a salt, tangibility dominant time. तर याच्यामध्ये first salt, second soft drinks, detergents, automobiles, customs, fast food. हे झाले ट्रँग्युलर डॉमिनंट आणि इंटँग्युलर डॉमिनन्स मध्ये काय होईल त्या ठिकाणी फास्ट फूड, ऍडव्हर्टायझिंग, एअरलाइन्स, इन्व्हेस्टमेंट ऍडव्हर्टायझर, कन्सल्टिंग अँड टीचिंग हा पार्ट त्या ठिकाणी इन ट्रँग्युलरिटी डॉमिनन्स मध्ये काय सांगतो. तर द स्केल ऑफ मार्केट इंटेलिजन्स दिस प्रेझेंट टू व्हेरी इम्पॉर्टंट लेसन. फर्स्ट इज देअर इज नथिंग लाईक प्युअर गुड्स और प्युअर सर्व्हिस. काय असते की दोन इम्पॉर्टन्स आहेत स्केल ऑफ मार्केटिंगचे. द फर्स्ट इज देअर इज नथिंग लाईक प्युअर गुड्स और प्युअर सर्व्हिस. All products can be though bundle or tangible and intangible elements that are present in the products is varying degrees. And second is the tangible part of the service, and in a similar fashions, the intangible part of the goods are very important from the marketing perspective. They can serve as important differentiations points adding to the value proportions of the service of the goods, or can also serve as additional stream of revenue that complement service or of goods. The molecular models. First is another useful to explain difference between service and goods can be found in the molecular model proposed by Shoestack in 1977. The molecular model discretely represents the relationship between the tangible and intangible elements of a firm's operations. The primary benefit offered by the molecular model is its ability to visualize the market offering of the firm in terms of its intangible and intangibly compounds. Figure 1.2 मध्ये बघा एअरलाइन्स आणि कार दिले. तर मार्केटिंग पोझिशन कशी असते त्या ठिकाणी ट्रान्सपोर्ट मध्ये प्राइस आणि डिस्ट्रीब्युशन, आणि थर्ड सर्कल आहे त्या ठिकाणी एअरलाइन्स ची मार्केट पोझिशन म्हणजे प्राइस, डिस्ट्रीब्युशन आणि मार्केट पोझिशन कशी असते. मग ट्रान्सपोर्ट दिस इज अ सर्व्हिस. मग ट्रान्सपोर्ट कशाने केली जाईल, एक तर व्हेकल सर्व्हिस हे करताना व्हेकल्स, इन फाईट सर्व्हिस, फूड अँड ड्रिंक्स, प्री पोस्ट फाईट सर्व्हिस आणि सर्व्हिस फ्रिक्वेन्सी. त्याच्यानंतर कार मध्ये पण त्या ठिकाणी प्राइस, डिस्ट्रीब्युशन, मार्केट पोझिशन असते. ट्रान्सपोर्ट, व्हेकल्स आणि ऑप्शन्स आपल्याला जे की काय असेल इंटँगिबल कंपाऊंड्स आणि टँगिबल कंपाऊंड्स. ओके. यालाच काय म्हटलं जातं, दिस डायग्राम इज अ मॉलिक्युलर मॉडेल. क्वेश्चन असेल की व्हॉट इज द स्केल ऑफ मार्केटिंग इंटेलिजन्स. तर ह्या फिगरवरून आपल्याला असं लक्षात येतं की the biggest benefit that a such a representative can present to managers is that by means of such molecular diagrams, marketers can understand the with the such understand marketers and better experience to the understand and present their products to their market while eventually defending their offers from their competitors. Second आहे त्या ठिकाणी the service experience. Due to the inherent difference of beginning intangible service are consumer and perspective differently from the products. For example, a customer can very well sample a piece of chocolate before buying the whole pack of the for the same purpose, use a triangle fact to experience the kinds of a particular perfume. Before actually buying it, the triangle compounds of the products make it possible for the customers to experience the goods before actually buying them. However, it is not possible for a customer to have a triangle haircut or for the matter a triangle surgery. Discuss either all products whether goods and services can be defined as a bundle of benefits. These benefits can be defined in a terms of tangible benefits and tangible benefits in the minds of the customer. For a goods as a detergent, the core concept might simply by cleaning of clothes. Next आहे त्याची consider of four factors that directly influence customers. First is the service scape. Second, contract personnel service providers. Third, other customers, and fourth, organizations and system. The first three factors of the model are visible to the customers, while the four factors invisible. This factor, organization and system, though invisible to the customer, has profound impact on the service experience. The customers servicescape, second, other customers, third, organization and system, and fourth, contract personal service provider. Next point, the servicescape. Servicescape means refers to the physical setup that is used to deliver and service. Experience as a service are mostly tangible, dominated benefits. It becomes difficult for the customers to evaluate the quality of the service beginning delivery. In order to make such assessments, customers usually have to rely on the tangibility and physical components of the service. The servicescape may consist of the conditions related to emissions which the service is beginning delivery, such as temperature, lighting, and music, and may also include objects that assistant in the delivery of service, such as furnishings and business equipments and other physical events such as the signs, symbols, and artifacts such as the family pictures and personal collection. Next आहे त्या ठिकाणी contract personal service providers. The interactions of the customers with the personal or the providers of the service who are in direct contact with the customers are also very important in defining the customer experience. The contract personal includes the individuals who do not provide the core benefits or the service that the customer is looking forward to, and may interact only briefly with them, if at all, regardless of whether there is an interactions with the customer or not. This contract personal are an essential part in farming the entire service experience. Example of such personal providers may including parking attendance in a shopping mall, expectations at the bank, and hostess in a restaurants, and like whereas service providers are the primary providers of the core service, such as the salespersons in the shopping mall, the relationship manager at the bank, a waiter place at the restaurants, and like. The implications of this inseparability of the contract personal service provided from the service experience are very important in creating the overall service experience of the customers. Other customers, it is not uncommon for customers to get influenced by the feedback of service encounters and experience of other fellow customers. Past or current experience of other customers have potential to create expectations related to a certain levels of quality of the services sought. This may rise the threshold of the expectations related to service quality or may lead to diminish. It is important for the service organization to effectively manage such influence at may either raise customer expectations to undesirable or unmarginable levels or may diminish so much that the service organization goes out of the considerations set of the customers while searching for such service providers. Whether it is a common practice for many service organizations such as hotel, restaurants, and airlines to service multiple customers simultaneously in a such a synchronous the experience of other customer with the service beginning deliver may subsequently affect the overall service expansion, such as influence can either raise the level of service experience or may damage. Next, organizations and system. The compounds of the service exchange model discussed so far are directly visible the customer and influence their service experience directly. तर याच्यामध्ये कस्टमरला त्या ठिकाणी जी संस्था जी आहे काय करते डिलिव्हरी रिलेटेड पण डायरेक्टली डिलिव्हरी त्याच्या मध्ये नसते. सी सर्व्हिसेस दिली जाते त्यावेळेस ती कशी असते त्या ठिकाणी द सर्व्हिस बिगिन डिलिव्हरी आर युजली नॉट अ सिंगल प्रोसेस म्हणजे वन वे त्या ठिकाणी नसतो सिंगल प्रोसेस त्या ठिकाणी नसते तर ही सर्व्हिसेस कशी असते द सिरीज ऑफ इंटरॅक्शन्स बिटवीन multiple process only a part of this multiple process is what is visible to the customer and the rest remain transparent to them. For example, in restaurants the buttons are only exposed to service such as amenities, food, drinks and other F&B service provided to them. How the foods has been processed from where and how the ingredients were produced, how quality is beginning control and maintaining the training contract, personnel and service providers undergo command structures, code of conducts for the employees, other rules and regulations that the restaurant either to and other similar process remain invisible to the customer. It is a not repent to the thing that the compounds visible to the customer can exit or function satisfactorily in absence of the invisible compound. Such process within the organizations which are invisible to the customers have profound influence on their overall service experience. Next are the needs of for study services. Needs of for services there are multiple regions which lay foundations for the agreements to the study service as a separate dominant in marketing. In has already been discussed in the previous text. How services are described as different from the goods, rather how the considerations related to tangibility and intangibility of the core benefits and how are they solve difficulty in case or goods service in also already discussed. There are also several additional regions why the study of service area itself is justified. The first is the shifting of almost all major economies from agriculture or product manufacturing-based economics to service-based economics. The speed of these transitions has further been propelled by rapid opening up of global marketplace and increasing globalization. Second, the shift in global economics towards service is accompanied by growth in the manpower engaged in service-based industry or sectors. The growth in manpower engaged in service-related organizations is not only driven by the rapid expansions in the service sector only, but is also to sinking and limited manpower of triangular, agri-based or industry sectors due to increased autonomy. Third, category the contributions of the service sector in business and also their other areas of society has recently been reinforced with the increasing proliferations of IT and internet-based e-service that complete tasks, solves problems, or conduct transactions and can be used by people, business, and other e-service while giving access to a wide range of information appliance. In this chapter, main summary is service have become in inseparable part of business and our lives today. Inseparably part आपला याच्यामधला आहे. The needs for studying service as a separate body of knowledge in more than ever now. The unit discussed that despite goods and services being different from each other, it is oftentimes difficult difference between the goods. It would be very difficult to classify a market offering either as pure good or pure service, as both goods and services have certain form of tangibility and intangibility inherent to them. However, using the scale of market intelligence, all product can be placed on a continuous ranging from pure intangible to pure tangible based on the core benefits from it. The continuum may be used to define product based on their tangibility. तर याच्यामध्ये शॉर्टचे आहेत काही क्वेश्चन. तर साधारण व्हॉट इज मीन बाय गुड्स सर्व्हिस प्रॉडक्ट्स, कॅरेक्टरिस्टिक्स ऑफ सर्व्हिसेस, त्याच्यानंतर by using the circulation model explain the compounds of service experience of airlines असे क्वेश्चन त्या ठिकाणी विचारले. आपण नेक्स्ट याला त्या ठिकाणी सर्व्हिस मार्केटिंग एन्व्हायरमेंट हा जो सेकंड युनिट जे आहे ते आपण नेक्स्ट लेक्चरला पाहणार आहोत. ओके, थँक्यू.